Welcome back. In this video, I will walk you through some accounting basics. I understand that math might be frightening for some people, but please don't fear and do your best to stick with me till the end of this video. I promise to make it as simple as possible. If you are an entrepreneur, you must know your numbers. Otherwise, you will be out of the business pretty fast. The first concept we will be talking about is the cost of creating your product. And it's called cost of goods. How much does it cost you to produce one unit? Let's go back to our burger example and calculate the costs that are involved directly in making one burger. First, we have to calculate the cost of the raw materials. Your suppliers usually provide you with the information of your wholesale price. Then it's only a matter of dividing the cost into small pieces. Keep in mind that in some products, such as burger, this cost is as close as possible to the average cost, since each slice of tomato might differ in weight and size. And you don't have to do the math for every separate burger. You only do it once and that's it. This cost only changes when your supplier informs you about significant changes in prices. Once you add up all the materials cost together, you should come up with the total materials cost per unit for your product. Take a note of this number and remember it carefully. The second cost that we need to calculate and add to your materials cost is the direct labor cost that is involved in creating this product. Say for example that you hire one staff for $6 an hour. It takes him 3 minutes to make one burger from start to finish. Therefore, it takes him 1 hour to make 20 burgers. 60 minutes divided by 3 burgers equal to 20 burgers. To calculate the labor cost of making one burger is only a matter of simple algebra. For 60 minutes, it costs $6. For 3 minutes, it costs X amount. Now it's only a matter of simple cross multiplication. X equal to 6 multiplied by 3 divided by 60, which equals to 18 divided by 60, which equal to 30 cents per burger. Feel free to use the same formula and change it with your numbers. To find the total cost of goods, simply add materials cost to the direct labor cost, and you should come up with the total cost of goods, which equals to $1.40 per burger. What does this number tell you? It says that you should never sell your product at a price lower than $1.40 per burger, unless you are planning on losing money. It also tells you if your cost of goods is higher or lower than the industry average. Now, let's assume that we are going to sell this burger for $2, which brings us to the next concept, which is called profit margin. Profit margin is how much money do you make on selling one burger. Profit margin equals to your price minus your cost of goods. In this case, profit margin equals to $2 minus $1.40, which equals to 60 cents. And that's equal to profit margin of 30%. In this scenario, 30% is pretty awesome. Normally, your profit margin in this industry is around 6 to 9%. But for the sake of making this example easy to understand, we are going to stick with those numbers. Profit margin is equal to price minus your cost of goods. This is one of the most important formulas that you need to keep in your mind. You only have to do it once, but it's critical for your business success. Here is a list of some other costs that you need to consider while calculating your cost of goods, and it varies depending on your industry. Materials cost, direct labor cost, shipping fees, if you provide free shipping, online stores and credit cards transaction fees, such as PayPal, Amazon, and credit cards, insurance fees, your state tax or European VAT tax, and product maintain warranty fees. If your cost of goods is much higher compared to your competition, it means that you need to go back and renegotiate your supplier's deal, find different supplier, or change some of your component of your product. Otherwise, consider adding more value to your product so you can offer it at a higher price. The second accounting concept that we need to talk about is gross profit. Unlike the profit margin, is where you calculate the profit margin selling one unit of product. Gross profit is the profit that you make on your total sales. Say that you sell 50 burgers a day. We sell for $2 for each burger, and it costs you $1.40 per burger. Therefore, we sell $100 worth of money with a total cost of goods to $70, and we end up with 30% in gross profit gross profit comes in handy when we have to calculate the total profit for a specific period or estimate the total profit of different products with different costs. In this example, we can generate better gross profit by upselling your offering and introducing less costly product at a higher price point. As we have seen in the last example, that the profit margin of selling one burger is 30%. But what if we combine it with a Coke, which costs 20 cents, and we can sell it for $1? The profit margin on a single cup of Coke is 80%, which is excellent. If you bundle both products together, then you will end up with a total cost of $1.60 and a full retail price of $3, which equals to 46% in gross profit. That is 16% higher than only selling a burger. Now you should be able to reason why they try to upsell you when you make an order at McDonald's. This is because the money is in the drinks. They make a very low profit margin on the burger. Now that we have calculated all the costs of making your product, most people stop here and yet still end up with a loss. Why? Because you still haven't calculated your fixed cost. Think of your fixed cost as the underlying expenses that you need to make payment for your business to be able to operate and function. The first fixed cost that you need to think about is rent. Even if you are going to perform from home, you still need to consider renting one of your house rooms as a fixed cost. When you are looking for a lease, you might be looking for how much should you pay per month. Although this is critical, there is something more important to consider. If you plan this approach as a distribution for your products and services, you should always be thinking concerning the trade-off between space versus traffic. If your product requires high foot traffic for sales to happen, then looking for an abandoned place to rent for the sake of being cheap will drive you out of the business. I see this problem happens all the time when the business owner tries to save money on rent and find a place with very little traffic. And I ask him, what is the point of owning a store with low traffic and bad environment in the first place? On the other hand, if you need a large space for a functional reason and you feel that you can do your marketing on social media or hire a separate sales reps, then finding a place on the last floor of a shopping mall will make sense. Since you will value space over traffic and people once they arrive at the gym will require more quiet and focused environment. Another problem that I see with many stores is a problem with space efficiency. When you rent a space, you should make sure that you are using this space to get the best return on your investment. Avoid wasting your space with a lot of decorative and non-functional areas. Yes, you still want to have a beautiful place with a fantastic environment, but it's not an art gallery, it's a business. And you should measure your space efficiency on the return per square meter or square foot. In this scenario, you can see that Starbucks makes an excellent use of space. If you find that renting a store might be expensive, you might consider operating from a truck or pop shop. On this occasion, your timing and location are flexible. You will also end up with much lower overhead costs comparing to a retail store. And last but not least, if you still find that all the above to be unnecessary or unable to afford, you can always start an online store, and your fixed cost would be your monthly subscription. In this case, it would be $39.99 a month. Keep in mind that each type of products requires different kind of audience. Make sure to find the platform that fits your products. Now that you calculated your rent, other things that you need to be aware of as fixed costs are your utility bills and your employee salaries. Those are the salaries of your most critical employees. For example, your accountant or your waitress. Without them, your business won't be able to operate. Here is a list of the fixed costs that you need to think about, and they vary depending on your industry. These lists include rent, salaries, utilities, insurance, property taxes, machinery costs, and maintenance expenses. Okay, so now that you have an idea about your cost of goods and fixed costs, it's time to have a look at your marketing expenses. Many small business entrepreneurs dismiss or underestimate marketing costs. But if you want to sell products, then you have to do marketing, and it usually will cost you a certain amount of money. Let's look at an example of how to look at your marketing expenses. Let's assume that you launch a Facebook campaign. It runs for 3 days. It costs you $100. You will reach 1,000 people. 100 of those people will click on your ads. And let's assume that you have a great product with a high conversion rate of 10%, which means that 10 people will buy your product. By the way, this is a very high conversion rate. But for now, let's keep the number simple, which means that it's going to cost you $10 in marketing expenses to acquire one customer. So that sounds cool, right? Not yet. Let's look at the other side of the equation. Let's look at your product. It's going to cost you $5 to make one unit, and you decide to sell it for $10. Since we sold 10 units, your total sales should be $100, right? You should be happy to break even. But wait, not too fast. Let's find our gross profit, which equals to $100 in revenue minus $50 in production costs, which equals to $50. Let's subtract your gross profit from your marketing cost, which equals to $50 minus $100, and which equals to negative $50. Wait, what just happened? Oh, you just lost $50. Imagine if we haven't managed to control our budget. We got too excited and we spent $1,000 on Facebook ads without doing any customers or market research. We will end up with a negative $500 as a loss. In these scenarios, to at least break even, you should work on creating a fantastic marketing plan with a conversion rate of 15%, or raise your price point to $15, or maybe bring your cost to $0, which is impossible unless you are selling a digital product. When you calculate your marketing cost, you should always keep your profit margin and the number of your required sales to break even as a framework to calculate your return on investment. Now that you have all of those numbers in mind, it's time to find your profit. Profit equals to total revenue minus total cost, and that's including cost of goods, fixed cost, and marketing expenses. You should always keep track of those numbers, otherwise you will end up with negative cash flow, high debt, and bankruptcy. Combining all those costs will bring you to the net profit, bottom line, which is your total sale minus your total cost plus taxes. If your revenue exceeds your costs, then you will end up with a positive net profit. If your income is less than your expenses, then you will end up negative and loss. Most startups have a negative income for the first 2 or 3 years, and some takes up to 5 years to break even. This is why I told you at the beginning of this course, try to keep a stable income source at the moment. Okay, so let's combine all those concepts into one small example. Let's calculate a required amount of investment for a simple burger truck. Let's assume that you buy a cooking equipment for $2,000 and it's only one-time payment. We rent a food truck for $2,400 a year, and it's going to cost you $3,000 a year to maintain. You decide to hire one staff for $5 an hour. He will work 8 hours a day, which equals to $1,200 a month and $14,400 a year. Your total fixed cost will be $21,800 for the first year and $19,800 for the second year, assuming that you will continue using the same equipment. Let's find your break-even for your first year in business. Your total fixed cost is $21,800. Let's look at cost of goods. $1.40 per burger. Your price will be $2 per burger. Your profit margin would be 60 cents per burger. Your break-even point is $21,800 a year divided by 60 cents, which equals to 36,324 burgers per year. That equals to 3,027 burgers and 101 burgers per day, which equals to 12 burgers an hour if you operate for 8 hours a day. Whoa, that's a lot. You should be very good at selling burgers. Your burgers should be awesome. Keep in mind that I'm assuming that you have already found a great location and you do not need any extra marketing effort. So what can you do to reach faster to your break-even and make more profit? Well, first, you can find location where customers can afford higher prices. Second, you can rent a cheaper truck to reduce your overhead cost. Or you can work on your product cost and find a way to bring it down. And you can improve your gross profit by upselling and cross-selling different products. Okay, so now you have it. After all, it's not that complicated. Do it for once, then visit it every 3 months or half a year. At least you have a clear idea about your numbers, and you will know that you are operating in the green zone of your business. So let's summarize. You should always calculate your cost of goods, your fixed cost, and your break-even numbers. Your profit margin equals to price minus your cost of goods. Your profit equals to total revenue minus total cost. You should always be looking for ways to increase your gross profit with upselling and cross-selling. Always work on reducing your fixed and overhead expenses. Avoid competing with low prices, especially when you're starting out. Do not underestimate your marketing budget. So for your assignment for this week, you need to create a cost breakdown. Pick one of your products or research any products that you are interested in. List and calculate the cost of goods, materials, direct labor, shipping, transaction fees, and so on. List and calculate overhead costs, website, rents, salaries, including yourself and your space. How much is it going to cost you to be in business for 1 year? How many units should you sell per month to break even? How much should you spend on marketing to reach your sales? It might be from 30 to 50% of your profit margin. Please take this part seriously. Do it slowly, you don't have to rush it. Have some rest. There are a lot of tools that will come in the next article. Use them for your benefit. If you have any question, please leave it in the Q&A section. I will see you in the next video.